Hello world, welcome to Ctrl+Alt+Danominator. My name is Dan, this is the device, and I have made a mistake. All right, so 2 weeks ago I made a video documenting what I was doing with my parents' old Samsung Galaxy A10e phones. I decided to pick a Moto G stylus for my dad from 2025 and a Galaxy S23 for my mom. That is this one, and for the most part it is a great phone. The only problem is the eBay listing was a little bit vague, and it's not the US version. This isn't necessarily a big problem for certain people, like for tech nerds like me, I'm sure we can work around it just fine. But my mom has come across a few issues with this thing, mainly that it doesn't do group chats the way that it's supposed to, because I believe it's the Korean version or something like that, so it's just not supported over there, I guess. And a couple other like weird inconsistencies. So I have unfortunately been having to look for another one of these. Now, again, the eBay listing was a little vague, but I could have been a lot more careful about scanning over things, and I could have even asked the seller about that. So that's on me. This is unfortunately my next mistake. Okay, so while I am very much the tech nerd of my family, I'm the support when it comes to this kind of thing, I am not perfect. I make plenty of mistakes, and when I do, I make sure that if something can be fixed, I'm gonna fix it. So I've actually ordered a third one. We're gonna have a third Galaxy S23 in the house, but actually that's technically not true because the one that I'm holding here is counterfeit. I'm not joking. I know what it looks like, but this is a fake phone. The first thing that I do when I go through any eBay listing is I check for real pictures of the product. Now, I also check the seller's reputation and check their ratings, but I've honestly kind of been wondering how legitimate those kinds of ratings are. And unfortunately, I do think there is potential if a certain seller is very popular, they might just be able to like go sift through their reviews, or I don't know if they can delete or hide them, but surely there's something going on there because I've been seeing a lot of sellers popping up with a ton of these things on the market, and I was a little suspicious, but when I saw these for a decent price, again in my mom's budget, we decided to go take a look at this. And I checked for negative reviews, anybody warning about fake phones, but it seems like when people are talking about counterfeit Samsung products, because, you know, they are the Apple equivalent of Android here, they are very popular, and even some of their OS has started borrowing more from iOS, they are more likely to get counterfeit devices. So it seems like for the most part, people, when they're Google searching for this kind of problem, they are looking for Galaxy S23, 24, 25 Ultras, because Ultras are the most popular Samsung phone. Maybe not for general consumers, but when it comes to tech nerds, you know, it's got the stylus, it's got all the extra features, so like people love those. And so, of course, if some company from across the sea decides that they want to make a quick buck and scam a bunch of people, I guess most folks expect them to be Ultras. Well, here in my hands, I have what is very much not a genuine Samsung Galaxy S23, and here I am going to show you how I figured it out. I want to take a look at the box at the end of this because I think it's really funny. I only just noticed the back a little earlier before I started filming this. But first of all, let's take this off here and take a look underneath the box. All right, that's looking pretty good. I did cover up the IMEI with the tape here. Let me just take this guy off. Ah, yeah, wait a minute. Okay, so this is not the font that you commonly see on the Galaxy boxes, which, I mean, it doesn't have to be a problem, but like, you can clearly see that that is different, right? So I was wondering if this was going to be an issue, but then I thought about how, you know, this is an open box phone. They could have replaced this with an aftermarket peel just so that they could say that they put something there. But then if this is listed as an open box phone, it probably shouldn't have anything needing to be replaced, right? It should have the original peel, the original box, the original cable. And that's when things started to get concerning. I did bring my mom's current Galaxy S23 here to the party so that we could compare the two. Now this one does have a screen protector on it, but the first thing that I immediately noticed right here, the power button feels kind of bad. So it's really hard to explain this on camera, but this one is very nice and flat. It doesn't roll, it's very flat when you press it. This one, on the other hand, has a bit of a rock to it. It doesn't go all the way down. You can kind of see, and now I've just woken it up, but you can see it's not as flat as it should be, and it doesn't press down all the way. So that's the first problem I noticed. The second is that the SIM card tray is actually not completely flush with the phone. That is a big problem because these things are not made cheap, and you can usually tell right here, this should be completely flush against your phone. And if it's not, that's kind of a weird sign. I figured maybe it needs to be pushed down or there's something in there to be cleaned. Nope, I blew it out, I checked everything, and it just wouldn't go in. So that was my second concern. Then I started to notice the back of the phone. Now, you might notice here the shimmering Samsung text is kind of popped out just a little bit. It was printed outward. That's actually not how a regular Galaxy S23 is. It uses frosted glass, and so the text is technically displaying with like an inward 3D shape. Now, I know this is, again, very hard to explain on camera, but another thing I started to pick up on when I started getting more suspicious was the IMEI text right here is very blurry, and right here, it is a lot more sharp. So at this point, I'm starting to get really nervous. And then I also look at the camera bumps, and again, I'll do my best to show this on camera. The camera bumps here, they kind of flush into the phone. The colors are not nearly as pronounced, but something here on the black one is not quite right. And again, this is probably the most subtle detail so far, but something was really starting to bother me at this point. And that's when I flipped it around. Immediately, I can see that something is weird about this thing right here, okay? So when I turn it to the side, it's just got a bit of a tiny, and I mean really tiny bit of rounding to the glass. Now, I can't really show this as well as I would like to, but the glass pushes out. Now, these should not generally do that. The only reason that this seems to push out is because it has a screen protector on it, but in other words, it is completely flush against the phone. And the most interesting part, I'm just gonna turn on the screen and then you can see it for yourself. That animation is really weird. Now, if I go up in here, something about it is very off. It's like very low resolution. And that's when I realized that the entire thing on this front welcome screen is a video. Now, it's very hard to show this. It's very hard to tell. But something about it is the way it's got a tiny bit of static to it, almost like there's a bit rate to it. So I do believe this back here is like an element and it's just playing a video. I'm not sure if this is how it normally works with Samsung phones because actually this one's set up on One UI 5. So I didn't actually see it like this on that phone. However, this was easily the most problematic thing about the phone, and that's when I knew absolutely that something had been done to it. Let's take a look at these bezels real quick. I've just put up a random image on this phone. Take a look at the lip on this thing. Look at how the corners are not even remotely smooth at the edges. Now, this is very specific, but these phones are made with a lot of detail put into them. So you can kind of see here the edges are all even, the bezels are very small and very thin. These are a lot bigger by comparison. I mean, like a millimeter difference maybe, but especially the corners. You see how much different they look? I'll turn this one back on. You can see how much thicker it is. And again, I know that this is hard to just tell from the get-go, but I have a feeling that some parts of this are counterfeit or repurposed from a different phone. So at this point, I know I'm holding a counterfeit phone, and I honestly just kind of wanted to mess around with it a little more and see what other common things to look out for in case anyone else has fallen for something like this. And that's when I started to like feel around the phone. Hear how it's clicking? These should not be doing that. The build quality of these is generally like very tightly put together. There should be nothing rocking around, but when I press on it, oh yeah, it shouldn't be doing that. That's another problem. The camera hardware does not sound that loud when you move it around on this phone. And honestly, that was pretty much when I decided, yeah, no, this thing's got to go back. I actually did set it up manually offline so I could just poke around in it, and I did check the IMEI. It was consistent with the back of this, despite it being a different backing. I don't even think this is frosted glass. I think it's just either some kind of repurposed metal or plastic. But that's when things got interesting, because I looked up an IMEI checker, and what I found was this phone's model was completely different from the one listed in the software. That was honestly it for me. I mean, at this point I already knew I was holding a counterfeit, but I just wanted to see how they did it. So I would like to think that the IMEI was repurposed from a generally working phone, and a bunch of these components were replaced with cheap ones, and that's how we got this thing. I'm not sure if this was originally having a bunch of parts from an S23, but yeah, what we're holding here, despite how similar these two look, is a fake version of a Samsung Galaxy S23. Even the weights are a little bit different. There's just so many things that messed with me when I was taking a look at this thing. But of course, the display was honestly the worst part of it. Just seeing those bezels and how ugly, look at how they flatten out like that. Oh yeah. However, I think I have saved the best for last, because as I was preparing to film this video, I happened to take a look at the back of the box. Now, okay, to be fair, I was wanting to take a look at the device first because something about this whole thing just felt weird to me, so I just didn't bother looking at this, and I found out it was counterfeit before. However, if you get a phone in the mail and it reads like the back of this thing does, you also know that you probably have something getting tampered with on your device. Okay, I'm gonna try to take this seriously. Why don't we do a little reading for a moment? All right, Samsung Electronics. Available storage capacity is subject to preloaded software. For more information on your device, please visit www.samsung.com. The bandwidth supported by the device may vary depending on the region or service provider. 5G network availability may vary depending on the country, network provider, and user environment. Product illustration uncovered differs from the actual product. Travel. Adapter sold. Soparately. This is a piece of junk. Wait a minute. No way. Oh, that's incredible. Oh my goodness, the box just self-imploded from a single drop. Oh, stupid. Well, that's my journey so far with trying to get a used phone for a single person. Oh, good gravy. Well, if there's anything that I can take from all of this, it's that no matter how detail-oriented you think you are, ask all the questions. Check your device when you get it. Be absolutely sure you know what you're getting. Save yourself the extra trouble. And you know what? It's always possible that you'll get one anyway. However, I also understand that buying phones on eBay is like just not recommended anymore. And I didn't always know that. So this is pretty much a good confirmation that I will just not be doing this again, which it sucks because, hey, you could say that there are good deals on these devices, but if you're rolling a roulette just to figure out if you get a genuine one every time, is it really worth it? I don't know, probably not. Now, there might be some reputable sellers out there on eBay, I'm sure there are, but this is the first time I bought a device from them. The first description was vague and it got me a Korean phone. The second is this abomination. So I guess that's the lesson to be learned. If you're gonna get something online, discern, be careful, and even when you get it, just give it a good look over. Make sure you know what you're getting before you start putting your data on it. I'm really glad that I was super careful about that and noticed just how off some things were about this device, or I could have landed myself in more trouble and even more trouble for my family. So that's the lesson to be learned, I suppose. All right, hello world, Ctrl+Alt+Danominator in post-recording here, and you would not believe the last few weeks I've had. So, an update on this situation. I recorded this video a couple of weeks ago, right before I sent the phone back, and the first thing that happened was it took a long time to be returned because it was on like ground shipping, which is totally fine. Upon return, the seller attempted to give me a half refund for this phone. Now, you have to understand something. Despite all of the issues I encountered with this thing and the fact that the phone was very obviously not a genuine Galaxy S23, or at the very least a modified one, I still made sure to properly package this thing. There was tons of padding, the box was way bigger than the phone's box, and I put a bunch of padding around that. So here's the thing. Either the seller was lying, and I never received any pictures showing a cracked screen or any kind of damage, and second of all, if this was a genuine Galaxy S23, the front glass of these phones is not cheap, and that should not have broken easily under any circumstances. Here's where it gets even better. After I fought this with eBay, they actually got back to me within the half hour, and they let me know eBay themselves was going to issue the other half of the refund. This was just directly after I had left a negative review, because I realized that they were trying to basically pull a fast one on me, apparently. And apparently this just got overturned recently. If you get a full refund as a customer for an item that has a problem or is, well, like this, which is what I put in the review and the eBay return, a, counterfeit item, eBay will actually allow the seller to remove the negative feedback from the seller's page if you, the customer, get a full refund. This is apparently something that's actually going to change in September of this year, but I'm sorry, how long was this a legal thing for? I'm sorry, that's insane to me. I have no idea why that was allowed, but basically because I left a negative review, which was completely legitimate and showing that this was a counterfeit or modified phone, I can't leave that feedback anymore because that isn't available in the feedback page, and the seller deleted that review. I checked, actually, and I have to wonder how many other people this has happened to. I am never buying Samsung on eBay ever again. Now again, this is stuff you really only notice if you're a super picky person like I tend to be, but I'm glad I did because I wouldn't want to put my SIM card, or goodness sake, not my mom's, in this thing either. I would be very worried about what would happen if I did that. Now, for all I know, the phone could be used perfectly fine, but I wouldn't know what kind of data transmissions were going on, who they were going to. So I'm very glad to say that instead of going with this, I'm going to return it, I'm going to leave a negative review and see what happens to it. I'm going to be monitoring that over the next couple of days, and I'm going to go refurbished. I have to admit, I think I was burned by refurbished at some point, to the point where I was just kind of worried about ever doing it again, and I'm not really sure why I have a stigma against it, but I ended up going with Best Buy refurbished and getting a Samsung Galaxy S23 with 256 gigs, just like this. I know it's US model and that it's hopefully had a new battery put in. We're gonna see how this goes. This is the only time I've ever gotten refurbished in my life. I think, actually no, it might be the second time. I'll have to try to remember that, but from now on, I'm probably gonna just avoid buying Samsung online. Truth be told, I don't even like doing that kind of thing in general. I prefer, if I'm gonna get a used device, to go into a pawn shop or a thrift store or something and get a good look at it, try it for myself, make sure it is genuine, and I don't really get to do that online, which takes a lot of more variables and makes them completely unknown until the device is in my hands. Now, fair enough, it is possible that this seller just has a bunch of genuine and a bunch of knockoffs, and maybe they just sell them all together, and that's why some people have a lot of good things to say about these phones. I really don't know. I'm not going to say the seller's name, but I am going to report them to the best of my ability because this really should not be acceptable. Well, that covers my coverage of the Galaxy S23 and this piece of garbage S23. Hopefully this helps somebody in the future. That was the whole reason I did this. I mean, it is humbling to make a video and explain all the dumb things that you missed when buying something and then having to point them all out. But at the very least, if that helps someone recognize maybe something they own isn't genuine, I guess that's the win. So thank you all for watching Ctrl+Alt+Danominator, and until next device, see you later, guys.